You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS Group podcast. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of those great shows to get great Patriots content all week long. But tonight is the Patriot Nation Podcast, and Matt is on vacation, and so that means I am joined by the one and only Keagan Stiefel, a writer and on-air host at NESN. But, got to start with Pat's Pulpit. This is like a throwback show for us, man. I love it. I love seeing your face over there, man. It's great. It's great having you back on. Yeah,
there's no place I'd rather be. This is where I got my on-air start. If anybody wants to take credit over at NESN, no. Pat Lane sent me a text like 7 years ago being like, hey, man, you want to try the podcast thing out? And I was like, sure, I guess.
That's right.
It's the start. Look at us now.
Listen, man.
So many years later.
Y'all don't understand the dedication that Keagan has, okay? You don't understand it. The first, I'll never forget, the first live draft stream that we did together. You went and rented a hotel room so that you could broadcast from the hotel room and get good Wi-Fi. It was fantastic. Great stuff.
Yeah, I was rocking with the DirecTV signal, and it wasn't going to be strong enough, so we had to go get the hotel room. What a time in life. Failing upwards ever since. So
that's right. That's right. That was great stuff. So we're happy to have Keagan on. Obviously, of course, it is Mock Draft Monday, so we're going to do a live 7-round mock draft. We'll talk about a few things before we get into that, but we are going to get to a live 7-round mock draft at some point today. I do want to start with something. I got called out. I got cold taked this week. I got freezing cold take today this week. So that was interesting. It is what it is. And ultimately, for me personally, I still stand by what I said. The NFL guys got absolutely annihilated by the flag football guys over the weekend. And I had said something about, someone had posted something about how, it should be the NFL guys or should be the flag guys, and he'd bet $50,000 that the flag guys would beat the NFL guys. I said that was insane, and of course it looked kind of dumb. Don't care. But I stand by the fact that I think the NFL guys would win. But here's what I would tell you. I've changed my tune on who I think should play. The flag football guys should be the ones playing. Now, do I think that with a month and a half of training, we could easily assemble an NFL crew that would smash anyone that even attempted to play? Absolutely. Why would anyone allow that to happen? None of the NFL programs would go for it. None of the players would give a shit about it, frankly. And so the NFL doesn't benefit from that. And also, we have the best flag football team in the world already. We don't need NFL guys. We could just trot out the guys that we have and win the gold medal anyways. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on most of it. I would say coming in, I think I trusted the flag guys a little bit more. I didn't know if you put them up against NFL guys, how it would go. I definitely didn't expect them to win. I would have taken the NFL guys either way. But I think there was a little bit of a part of that to me that was like, they do this. This is what they do. It's a completely different sport. My nephew is 13. He plays flag football year round, tackle in the fall, but the rest of the year he's doing flag football. He's at Disney World doing all the stuff. Every time I watch, I come away more confused than the last time. What are these rules? How the hell are they doing this shit? Why are they handing it off and then forward passing it 4 times at a play? How does that happen? It's just right. It's insane. So that part of it, I think I understood. These guys are going to understand it more. But I agree with you. If you put the best athletes, not necessarily the best football players, because I think those are two different conversations. Mm-hmm. but the best athletes in the NFL, and you teach them the rules, they'll mollywop these dudes. No problem. And like you said, a couple months, it's not too much of an issue for him. But at this stage, why are we giving Tom Brady another avenue to steal money from people? Why are we dumping injured quarterbacks onto the field and being like, hey man, go. Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels are playing? Like,
insanity.
It's so stupid. And I think it's such a dick measuring contest for these dudes. And it's like, don't even give them the opportunity. Let these dudes who have really mastered the craft of the electricians and plumbers who need something to do on the weekends. They do a great job. Let them do that. Let them continue to do it. Give them the platform at the Olympics.
Well, and that's kind of how I feel about it too. And it's like, imagine for a second. And you're right about, a different type of player, right? Saquon Barkley, you see Saquon in that game, and it's like, that ain't it. This isn't Saquon's game. Like, right. Saquon's an absolute monster, but it's like, I'm not trying to tackle him. I'm just trying to grab his flag. So, like, it's not as challenging as it would be to tackle him. And he doesn't have, not that he's not mobile and not, not shifty, but, like, that's not who he is, right? Instead, you need guys like Marcus Jones and, guys like that are crazy shifty and have this incredible, like, side-to-side athleticism. Those are the guys that win in that league. You don't need strength. You just need speed and agility. Yeah. And so I think that, it's one of those things. You could find those guys in the NFL because those guys exist. But, of course, they have to have a lot more strength in the NFL as well, clearly, right? But, when you talk about elite athleticism, I think you're going to find more of that in the NFL than maybe anywhere else. But, again, imagine how pissed the Patriots would be if Marcus Jones goes to the Olympics and tears his ACL at the Olympics playing flag football. Like,
we're talking about a franchise who lost, like, the next great running back to a freaking volleyball game on the beach or whatever. Flag football on the beach.
Flag football on the beach, yep.
You don't need these guys playing. I really do think it's so ludicrous that they took this thing that they had nothing to do with, which is essentially what it was. Like, flag football has been going on at a semi-professional level, let's call it,
forever,
for a long time.
Yeah. And
the NFL, the second they announced it was going to be in the Olympics, the NFL was like, yeah, we could do that. Let's get all these guys. We're going to throw them on a bunch of different teams. So play in this little – I know Fanatics put it on, which is another conversation for another day. Like, just a money-hungry organization trying to figure out a way to make more money. Tom Brady's obviously in bed with them, so he was a part of it. And I get it, right? It's what these people do. It's what they do. It's what, corporations do. They latch on to these things to allow themselves to make more money. But there are people who are taking significant time out of their lives that, they might not necessarily even have to chase this dream because they thought one day that the Olympics, flag football is going to take off. It's going to get into the Olympics and we're going to be the people who represent our country. And then they don't. And it's like, that's bullshit. That sucks. Yeah. Don't do that to these people. Let them have their moment. Tom Brady can play flag football somewhere else. I don't love the idea of taking that away from them.
I agree with you. And I also think too, like, if your team is going to consist of retired guys, what are we doing? Like, what's the point of that? It just doesn't, like, that's stupid. And I think that, you play a game like that this weekend and you see, like, they have a specialized set of skills that are specifically tuned for this game. And the NFL game is a different game. And again, I strongly believe that if you gave the NFL guys enough time, they would be able to dominate that game.
Sure.
But why do we want them to? You know what I mean? Again, I just come back to the fact that, like, if you have one of those guys and he goes out and plays and gets hurt in the Olympics, aren't you going to be really pissed that guy gets hurt in the Olympics? Like, he's not doing something, when you look at, like, Olympics hockey, and I think too, like, part of this is, it's like, well, the NHL guys playing hockey, but it's a lot of that, I think, is spurned on by non-American guys, right? Guys that are from other countries that their whole lives looked up to those guys from their country that won medals and played in the Olympics, and they dreamed of doing that their whole life. You're playing football. You're not dreaming of winning a gold medal. No one's ever dreamed of winning a gold medal unless you were a sprinter, right? Who became a football player. So that was never the dream. It would be really cool to win a gold medal, obviously, in the Olympics. Like, that'd be incredible, clearly. But it's not like you've been chasing that dream your entire life and we're taking it away from this NFL guy. It's also not even the same sport. You pointed it out already, but it's like the Olympics is hockey. Yes, the ice is bigger, but like it's still hockey.
Same sport.
You know, like this is not even the same sport. So you're asking them to train for something that isn't even football. So like if I'm the head coach, I'm like, you're not doing that. I'm not having you train for flag football. That doesn't help us on the football field. So I just, there's so many avenues to it. I love your slant on it where it's like, don't take it away from these guys. Like they've been working hard for it. Just give it to them. That's fine. And then, then if they don't win, well, then you can say, you guys suck. Now in 4 years, we have to take these NFL guys and go dominate. You know what I mean?
I think the tough part about it is that the first year that it will be in the Olympics, and it's a trial run, like they could say, this sucked. We're not bringing this back. This was stupid. Right. But it's in LA, and I think that's a big part of it is when your country hosts the Olympics, it's so much bigger. Like people still talk about the 96 Summer Olympics like they were the biggest of all time. They weren't. They just happened to be in Atlanta, and that's why it's so big around here. The same way in 92 it was in Barcelona, and the Spanish countries take it as seriously as they do. I know you mentioned the hockey example, but there's the baseball example too. It wasn't the Olympics, but the WBC, and you have countries who just took it more seriously than the U.S.
Right.
And whatever reason you want to say they did, but a team like Venezuela, like a lot of those guys grew up playing the sport together. They came over together. They lived together. They trained together. All of this, they've experienced the same life and they've done it with each other. And that's where the bond comes from. And because the only thing that they had to look forward to potentially get, onto this stage was baseball, I think they take it so much more serious. You could say the same thing about these flag guys, where this is their only chance to reach that superstar level. They will take it as seriously as you can take it. Tom Brady's got other shit going on. Like, he's got the card shop. He's got the Fox gig. He's owning the Raiders, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Even other NFL players. Jalen Hurts has a million different advertisements he does and stuff like that. Like, they're just not going to take it as seriously. So don't give them the opportunity to screw it up. Leave it in the hands of the professionals, as we should be saying. Like, these guys, they're professional flag football players. Let them play flag football at the highest level to potentially win an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah. I like it. All right. I think that's enough of that.
I will say, too, the little event they put on this weekend, that's a WWE event, just masquerading as a flag football. Like, Tom Brady shooting angles with Logan Paul. Get out of here, man. Yes. Enough. And I like
show speed or whatever.
I love wrestling. I think it's ridiculous. I love it. It's the best. Don't need that in my football. Get it out of my football. Separate the two. Let me enjoy football in one and the wrestling in the other. And I don't want Tom Brady mixing in both categories. No.
Well, as James says, Brady's favorite flag football trophy is the next one. Mm-hmm. So also Paper Waves turned off the departed to be here. So thanks for coming. We appreciate that. Solid movie. Connor says hello, and a bunch of guys in the chat. So thanks for stopping in. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. Did you see this kicker from UTSA?
Yeah. Is he a kicker?
I guess. I don't know. He ran a 4.5 in the 40. He hit a 70-yard field goal, but he didn't kick any field goals in the season. I don't get it. I guess that's cool that he can run fast and he kicked a really long field goal, but it's not about how far you can kick it. It's whether it goes in.
Right.
That's kind of what's important.
We've seen this a lot over the last few years. It's like internet, TikTok kickers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where these guys can go on TikTok and make a video and they hit 75-yard field goals, and that's awesome. There's a reason you've never done it in a game. It's a completely different thing. So you can put all this stuff on a graphic and it looks awesome. This insane athlete can also kick, but destroying and the kid from Montana State that never kicked anywhere to get a couple field goals, and they do this stuff where they're why am I not in the NFL? I can kick a 70-yard field goal. It's like, well, do it in a game, and then we'll have a conversation. I could go teach myself how to kick a 35-yard field goal in an afternoon. It's right. When in the moment, in the game, and doing it game after game consistently, that's when it counts.
I agree. And here's what's interesting. The UFL exists now, right?
Yeah.
So this is an interesting situation where, like, this happened with Brandon Aubrey, right? Well, Brandon Aubrey wasn't a kicker, and he just basically made himself a kicker, right? And then went to the UFL, was pretty good, got a tryout, and then bang, here we are. And the same thing with who the hell the Lions guy? What's his name? The Lions kicker.
I know who you're talking about.
God's sakes. You know what I'm talking about, right? He was the best kicker in the UFL. Right. And so, it's he got himself a job by doing that.
Jake Bates.
That's it. Bates, right. So you give yourself that situation where it's like, okay, go to the UFL, prove you can kick, and then you get a tryout with an NFL team. No NFL team is going to bring you guys, in. So that's one of those things where I look at it and just say, like, all right, he's not really a kicker. He's kind of a kicker, but not really a kicker. So
give him the opportunity in the UFL. I'm sure one of them, like that's been their whole thing the last couple of years. They rebranded this year. They're just going to give opportunities to these viral people,
which is smart.
Hey, if you could do it on the field, then we'll think of it's so funny to me. Like, I don't know if anybody's made the comparison, but this is what minor league baseball was for a few years there, where like if you failed at another sport or if you failed at doing something, you could probably get a minor league contract with Tim Tebow did it. He played Double-A for the Mets. It's all right. Let's see what you got, because no one gives a shit about the
UFL. No one cares,
or the Syracuse Mets or whatever. And it's going to bring in the TikTok audience will come in and they'll see, oh, our guy. Let's see what he can do. So it makes sense. It's not a bad business idea, and who knows? Maybe one of them there will be a success story. You see it all the time. And
that's the way I look at it. Is that why not take a chance on him and then see what happens, And then if that guy's successful, now it gives your league more relevancy, because you're like, well, look at this. We bring these guys in and, all of a sudden they prove they can do it. They end up in the NFL, right? And so, that's how you kind of keep that league going. So I like the idea of kind of moving him there. So, there's that. There's also, well, no, we don't have to talk about that. That doesn't matter. Maybe we'll talk about him during the mock draft. I do have another mock draft though that we want to pull up on the screen. Thad sent us in a mock draft. For anyone out there, if you would like to send in a mock draft, it's patsnationnetwork@gmail.com. Send in a mock draft and we'll put it on the show on Mock Draft Monday. But here's Thad's mock draft right here. It's Blake Miller at 31. So this is the PFSN thing. Now, Cassius Howell, I don't think is going to be there at 63. Feels like he's going to be that kind of top 35-ish pick or so. He's got very short arms, so maybe he drops a little bit, but I can't imagine he drops all the way to 63. But nevertheless, Bryce Lance, which I love. I think that's a great pick at 95. I don't know if not sure if he'll be there at 95, but I like, taking a shot on someone like that.
Yeah.
I
don't know if his brother's experience, everything that happened with Trey Lance will help him or hurt him. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if – I think the big thing with Trey Lance is the fact that he didn't play enough to show whether he had it or whether he didn't. Bryce Lance played a lot, and he was successful, but it's at the FCS level. So it's a lot harder for quarterbacks, receivers, and defensive backs specifically to translate, because for quarterbacks, it's so, mentally charged, and you're not going to get the same challenge that you would get at the FBS level. And then with corners and receivers, these dudes just aren't the same level of athlete. So there's no way of knowing. Like he might run past everybody at the FCS level and not be able to do it at the FBS level. So there's definitely a question there. I think some people are going to attach his brother to him and say, we don't want to touch it. So he might slip to 95, but I could also see him going in the second round, because the traits and the tools and the size, all of it, it's all there. It's just a matter of if he's going to be able to translate or not.
Yeah, agreed. And then at 125 was Dallin Bentley, a tight end from Utah, 6'4", 253, decent size.
stupid athlete. I saw a video of him the other day. Does a standing backflip at, what'd you say, 6'4", 255 or whatever it is?
Yeah.
A giant, a mountain of a man just doing backflips. So
just wild. And
don't know if
like,
he can play football, but that's cool.
What the hell, right? I mean, you might as well. You know what I mean? Take a shot on someone. It's interesting. The next guy here is Chris McClellan, D tackle from Missouri. Again, 6'4", 313, big dude. Yeah. Not very athletic.
No,
but that's not really that's not really what you're getting him for.
Yeah, of the guys on this list, I know these middle rounds can get tricky. Like, no one has enough time to know about all of them. Yeah, McClellan's one that I've watched, and I genuinely think he is among the class of so much better of a football player than he is an athlete. Like, people are going to be turned off by the numbers, and then you throw on the tape, and it's like, I don't know, the numbers don't compute with the way he looks on the field. He is a game wrecker in the middle, and I think he kind of fits what the Patriots are looking for, where it's not like no one's being asked to two-gap in this defense. Shoot a gap. Go make something happen. Be disruptive. He does that very well. And then the other player that I'll say that I know a little bit about, Diego Pounds, he's been connected to the Patriots. Super up and down. Like, 1 week can look like the best tackle in the SEC and pitch a shutout. The next week he'll give up 3 sacks to Cassius Howell. You know what I mean? So it's very up and down player. I know they've been connected to him. So that's an interesting one. Maybe go ask Joe Judge what he knows about him, if he can give you a good or a bad impression.
Well, I think the other part of it for me is that if you're drafting the guy in the 6th round, we don't really care if he's, consistent or not. Just like, hey, can this guy play at all? All right, cool. Like, let's see what happens, So I like the idea of taking a shot on him. Robert Henry, I think, is interesting from UTSA. It is a UTSA again as a running back, decent athlete. And I really like Thad Dixon a lot from UNC. I just can't imagine the Patriots draft anyone from UNC. I just can't.
No,
I can't imagine they touch anyone from that program.
Yeah, they don't have the tools. Like, they don't have the information. Right. So even if it's not well, you said fuck us, it's actually fuck you. I think that specifically is a little bit of a like, we don't know anything about the guy other than what we watch on tape. And for the Patriots, that's huge. They want to know everything about a guy, and they just don't know enough. I agree.
So anyways, I like the mock. Keep sending us more, but again, it's tough. And PFSN is, they're okay. They're just some of their rankings are just all over the place. And so that part of it I don't love. But again, what are you gonna do? Like, it just, you don't have control over that, unfortunately. So
I know PFF, unfortunately, you have to pay for it now, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago, it was free.
Right.
I'm still logged in on the NESN account, so shout out. I use that one. But they actually have a consensus board, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's the way to do mock drafts. There's really no other way to do it once you start using it that way, because it completely changes the way these things are picked. Like, I used their draft ranking on my first dry run. I hadn't done one yet, and I just kind of wanted to see how the board fell. And there were Mesidor fell to 31. Howell was still there. Concepcion and Denzel Boston were all there. It was like these huge name guys. Most of them probably aren't going to be available. You go to the consensus board and none of them were. So that's a cool thing. If you're able to do it with the consensus rankings, you have to.
I agree. And Paperwave says it too. Mock Draft Simulator, I think, does the best job.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about Mock Draft Simulator is that when you click on the guy, there's no information. You get nothing. You don't even get a height and a weight. So it's just that's frustrating. So it's like when you're on that and you don't know for sure, then you have to go and find more about that guy, and it drives me nuts. And each time
you gotta be a real sicko to use it. It's tough.
Every time my NFL Draft Buzz, and NFL Draft Buzz is the worst. I love it for some of the write-ups and stuff. Although I feel like a lot of the write-ups this year are last year's write-ups, which wasn't the case last year. But I feel like this year, I don't know if they ran out of money or they're not paying guys. I'm not sure, but it feels like a lot of them are talking about oh, this is what's coming up this year. And I'm like, and it's 2025, and I'm like, wait a second, we're not talking about anything that happened this year,
Yeah,
So-
usually they get to the top of the draft, guys, but like you said, once you get into that like 4th, 5th round, a guy you're looking for information on, it's not there yet, and it won't be until I don't know, a day before the draft. And
right, and at that point, it's like, what are we doing? So. Yep. So anyway, so that's what we got there. But thank you for that, for sending that in again. We appreciate that, and continue to send it in. Anyone else that has them, send them in, and on Mock Draft Monday we'll read them on air and go from there. So, all right, let's take a quick ad break, and then we will we'll get into our live 7-round mock draft. So here we go. So the playoff push is heating up, and tournament hoops are here. But there's no better way to cash in if you're right on the high-flying hoops action than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Every bucket, every dime, and every win means more when you're playing on Prize Picks. And with their brand new Team Picks markets, you can now pick game winners, spreads, and totals on top of the player picks you already know. So cash in if you're right during all the clutch baskets, slam dunks, and Cinderellas this spring with Team Picks on Prize Picks. Guys, I mean, that's what else do I need to say? That's it, man. Now available in 35 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Washington, and more. It makes it super easy to pick game winners, spreads, and totals all on Prize Picks. So what are you going to do? Download the Prize Picks app today and pick your first game winner, spread, or total as the playoff push rolls on. You're going to get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup when you use the code CLNS. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right. So let's
live ad read was impressive, by the way. Just giving you the props you deserve.
Well, I appreciate that. I try my best to make it sound good. So I'm glad you liked it. All right, so we're gonna go 7 rounds. We'll go turbo speed, and let's go consensus. 319 consensus. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's close enough. Care for personal value, draft needs. That's fine. Maybe we'll put draft for needs in the middle. All right. Cool. So here we go. So again, drafting from the Patriots. I assume we're not trading because obviously at this point we can't trade up. I don't think the Patriots are going to trade up, and maybe they will in the actual draft. But at this point, before the draft happens, I can't imagine the Patriots consider trading up at this point.
No.
So, all right. So here we go. All right. The Patriots are not on the clock because I haven't started the draft yet. Here we go. Okay, so
force a trade for the number 1 pick.
I know, right? That'd be pretty sweet, wouldn't it? Let's see, number 1. Oh my goodness, Fernando Mendoza. That's shocking. Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Ruben Bain. Yep. Okay, I like that. Sonny Styles to Cincinnati. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, Keldrick Falk, Monroe Freeling to Baltimore. That's interesting. The Jets taking their replacement for AVT in Vega Ione. Interesting. Kenyon Sadiq to Carolina. Denzel Boston to Philadelphia. Gee, I wonder why Philadelphia would be drafting a wide receiver in the first round of 23. That's interesting. So, by the way, we haven't talked about it, and I haven't talked about it with you. I'm assuming, right, that you think the Patriots are going to trade a 2027 pick for him?
Yeah, I've said it. I think I said it a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was last week on NESN. They will trade for him at some point in June. I am very confident. Like he's a Patriot. I think they're really the only landing spot that makes sense. I know there were the reports about LA, the Rams. That could not make less sense in my brain. I don't get it. They couldn't make more moves to make it make less sense. They couldn't bring in even more wide receivers. Like it just makes zero sense at this point in time. So I don't see that one happening. I don't see any other landing spots that are as obvious as the Patriots. So I've said it. If he doesn't end up as a Patriot, I will be eating a piece of paper live on TV. So that's to look forward to if they don't trade for him.
I tell you what, I want the Patriots trade for AJ Brown, but I would like to see you eat some paper on TV. So that'd be cool.
I'm a man of the people, so you get a W either way. You get AJ Brown, or you get me looking like an idiot on camera.
Keegan, I almost had to run a 5K with a Tyquan Thornton Chiefs jersey. I said if he was even decent this year, I would do that. And I said he just had to match. I think I said he had to match or close to at least what Kendrick Bourne did with the Patriots in 2021. Like 50 catches, like 500 yards, and like 6 touchdowns. And
he wasn't even as good as he was last year, right? Like
no, he was on pace for that, and then he just never caught a pass after like week 4. Yeah. But nevertheless. So anyways, all right, so let's take a look at what we got here. We have Caleb Banks available, Omar Cooper, which, again, if they're going to trade for A.J. Brown, which we assume that they are, we're not taking a wide receiver in the first round. Do you like Cooper here? Now, presumably, assuming the Patriots don't trade for A.J. Brown, and maybe they look at it and say, let's just see what drops to us. Do you think Omar Cooper is good enough for the Patriots to go after him in this situation?
I like the player. I don't like the fit. The Patriots have every conceivable version of a slot receiver on the roster. It's just a matter of which one they want to use. Like Romeo Doubs should be playing out of the slot. Yeah. Efton Chisholm kind of fits what they've traditionally had. Demario Douglas has played there before, and I think after a year of learning under Stephon Diggs, I think he can be a lot better than Patriots fans. When the team was bad, they loved him, and then when the team was good, they hated him. As always, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I think he's a good player who fits what they're looking for. It's just a matter if he gets the opportunity. So you have plenty of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Blake Miller, who was in Thad's mock draft, he's been in my mock draft at 31. I love the fit for the Patriots, and we have Ian Acher as well as here. Yeah. I love the idea of going after a tackle because you have that need at tackle in the future. Right, I think that makes a lot of sense. I actually, in this situation, and I'm curious to see what you think. Cassius Howell is here. Zion Young is here from Missouri. I'm curious to see what you think, but I actually don't hate the idea of trading back a little bit.
Sure.
Just because I think
Good.
No, I was just gonna say because I think that there's a good amount of players that are on the board that I like. Even like a guy like Eli Stowers, you trade back to like 48, 45 and take a guy like Stowers, I think I'd be okay with that because you have that like tight end, that tight end player, or again, you draft one of the tackles.
Yeah. So for me, I think trading this early, like we're talking about a draft that's going to happen in a month, it's really difficult to get something that's going to come even remotely close to what it will look like in a month. Like so many things change. So I try to avoid the trades, even if it's back or up. I try to avoid that. And given where they're at, if they're going to take a first round pick, so if we're shoestringing ourselves and making ourselves take a first round pick here, you would want to target one of those top 2 premier positions, tackle, edge rusher. Which one do you like? Who's available to you? I like the idea of Miller. I also like the idea of Howell. I hate that they're the 2 top options at those positions because it makes me look like I just like those guys. But for Miller, I think he can slide in at right tackle tomorrow. I also think in the system, if you give him a little bit of time, I think he can be your left tackle of the future, which is, I'm sorry, they still need a left tackle. They can get by. Clearly, we saw it. Long-term, they need a left tackle. So I like that pick. And then with Howell, the Patriots need somebody who will affect the opposing quarterback. Howell will do that. Yep. Is he ever going to live up to the standard of, right, you want a 3-down player, you want somebody who can be just as effective against the run as against the pass? I don't know if he'll ever be that. He will get after the quarterback, though, and you need that. So either one of those picks I'm fine with. Looking at the list that you just brought up, Zion Young and R. Mason Thomas are huge no's for me. At least in the first round. I think R. Mason Thomas in the second round makes a lot of sense. Malachi Lawrence, I know Mike Giardi, I think he pointed it out today. Something I thought of, and I haven't been able to watch his tape. That is a thick, stiff player. Like he is, it's a big boy, and I think eventually he could develop into somebody like an Akeem Mesidor where he can play up and down the defensive line and be effective, but you have to develop that guy, and they don't have time to develop that guy. So those are the 2 picks in my mind. It's either Miller or it's Howell.
Okay. All right. So the trade that's available on the board is 45. if we were going to make a trade, the trade would be with Baltimore at 45, which is actually like the exact spot that I said, like right around the area. The problem is that let's just say you do that, right? Well, actually 45 and 80, that's not bad.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that fills the gap between 63 and 95, that's the most annoying gap in the draft.
100%.
You miss so many good players at non-premium positions, which is what they need a lot of. They need a linebacker, they need a tight end. So I like
absolutely. That. Yeah. And then maybe even what if we just like threw in like a 5th round pick next year too? Because why the hell not? Because I friggin' feel like it.
Yeah.
As Kevin Costner would say. All right. Are you okay with that trading back to 45? Even though you just said you don't want to trade back.
No, that's a me thing. So this is a team effort. I hear where you're coming from. It also gives us a chance to talk about more players, which is
cool. Yeah, exactly. All right, here we go. Trade accepted. The Baltimore Ravens are now drafting at 31, and they drafted Cassius Howell. How about that at 31? Blake Miller goes to Arizona. Ian Nature goes to. That's interesting. That Seattle took another tackle.
Just paid both of their tackles, but sure.
Makes no sense, but that's okay. Bengals take Pregnon, who I flipping love, Emmanuel Pregnon.
So do I.
And Jacob Rodriguez goes to New Orleans. I like Jacob Rodriguez quite a bit. So let's see. So Stowers is still here. Brazel is still here. If we wanted to look, so edge. Yeah, there's no one. I mean, R. Mason Thomas is a no, right? I actually think Danny Denise Sutton is the guy that I would rather take at like 63. I feel like if he's there, I like the fit for him as a pass rusher. He has that. He's obviously not the same as Howell. He's not as good as Howell. Clearly, he's getting drafted in the second round instead of the first. But I think that he's that type of player. Derek Moore's an interesting guy as well. His pass rush grade, and you look at, his ability to kind of push the pocket and move the edge. I like him as well. So I feel like we can wait to the second round on that. I think. Or we're in the second round, but our next pick here.
Yeah.
Tackle is this is the problem at tackle is like, it just falls off a cliff after, whoever you want to put first, INH or Miller, like, if you're looking for a tackle, you have to draft that guy at 31, unless you're taking a chance on someone. Caleb Tiernan is not bad, but Jennings Dunker is a guard. I love the kid, but he's a guard. Markel Bell is like an absolute monster, but he's a huge question mark. Jude Bowery is a guy that turned some heads today at BC's Pro Day, but there's a lot of question marks about him and how good he really is. I don't love any of these guys on this list. And so,
I'm with you. I'm with you on waiting at tackle. I do like some of those guys as developmental pieces. You mentioned Markel Bell. I love him. Yeah. I'm with paper waves. If you go to the edge, Gabe Akis is like Mike Vrabel Jr. Not necessarily in the player, but like if Mike Vrabel could build somebody to add to his defense, it feels like this is it. Not necessarily the build of those guys, because like I think of like Harold Landry, who's a little bit slimmer, like kind of a true edge rusher, but somebody who can play the run as like a jackknife through those gaps, and also can rush the passer a little bit. And he might not necessarily get home to the level of a guy like Cassius Howell and have that speed. He is a freaking pain in the ass. Yeah. So that would be my pick at this spot. I don't like it in the first round. I know some people do. Give me him at 45 all day.
Yeah, I like that too. And you look at his pass rush grade, 88 pass rush grade, true pass set pass rush grade, 86.3, and a pass rush win rate of 14.9, almost 15% pass rush win rate is fantastic. And even this run stop rated at 7, it's pretty good, man. So
he played well against those Big Ten teams too. Like the last 2 years, the teams you want him to play well against, Michigan, Ohio State, all those teams. He played up to the standard.
I like it. And as Paperways mentions, and this is, to me, he's a wrestler turned football player, like ultimate film junkie. Like, man, yep. No, I'm 100%. And by the way, he says Akis apparently. So
Akis, yeah. Did I not say that?
I think you did. but you might have.
I might
he
not
just said
have,
it,
right?
and I was like, all right, so here we go. So all right, so let's take him at 45. I like that. Maybe we're reaching a little bit based on the consensus board, but I think when the Patriots are on the clock, these guys are looked at in different ways from every team. And ultimately, I like him better than R. Mason Thomas, and I like him better than Malachi Lawrence as well. So, I think
somebody's going to fall in love with Lawrence. I guarantee it. And he's going to get drafted way higher than he probably should. And he might develop in that, but give me Akis. Give me that guy who has the higher ceiling in this system. Like, he fits what they're looking for, not necessarily what they already have, which I think they already have a Malachi Lawrence. Or not the same player, but his height. Yeah. Milton Williams, when he's playing like that 4-eye, when he's playing a little bit on the outside, that's what he projects to be at his best.
100%. And here's the other part. Malachi Lawrence is a redshirt senior. Right? He's old. Now, it's not like Akis is young. He's going to be 22, but still, he's still younger. And I think that, it's a guy that's fairly new to the game. So I like it here at 45. All right. So now we go to 63. And oh my goodness, here he is sitting on the board. I love the idea of taking Stowers. I just think you need playmakers on offense. Yeah. And my God, he can't block to save his life. He just can't block to save his life.
Yeah.
Right. But you know who else couldn't block to save their life? Brock Bowers. That didn't stop the Raiders from drafting him being awesome. Now, I'm not saying he's a level of receiver that Brock Bowers is, but the point is that you don't need a guy that can block to be dominant down the seams. And so I love the idea of taking Stowers here. I also like Josiah Trotter. I believe that Evan Lazar had him in his mock. No, maybe it wasn't Lazar. It was I forget. Someone had him in their mock today, which I like him too. He's the type of guy that I like as well. Obviously, his father's Jeremiah Trotter, for those of you that were fans of football in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Much better than his older brother. So if you've been watching Eagles football and been like, why is the Trotter Jr. not good? His younger brother is much better. Yeah. Don't overthink it. I think he just takes Stowers. I'm with you on the tight end train. I've had people – they either fully agree with me or they hate the idea of me saying that the Patriots have completely fumbled the tight end position for 3 years. They've been rolling with two guys in Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, who Henry is great at what he does. Mm-hmm. But him being your number one tight end completely caps what you do offensively. And if you don't have somebody beneath him that brings a different, a little bit of a different look, I would say, which Hooper didn't. Hooper was a carbon copy and just kind of filled in whenever Henry needed a break on the sidelines. I didn't like what they did at tight end. And I know for a fact Josh McDaniels wants somebody who can bring something a little bit different. You just went out and signed a blocking tight end and you signed a fullback. Now you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. Go get somebody who gives you something different, who can essentially play out of the slot. He's not going to play inline a ton. He can, Stowers, but he's not going to block inline. He's going to run routes. Go get yourself another option for Drake May, a super reliable player.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. And Connor says here that we should draft Oscar Delp at tight end. And I like Delp as well. I just think Stowers is just so much more explosive than Delp is, at least on film. And listen, Delp ran, his running was very good. His athleticism is very good. He played the year with a hairline fracture in his foot. So he's obviously a tough kid, clearly, right? I like Oscar Delp quite a bit. Yeah. I just think Stowers brings kind of a different level of athleticism at the tight end spot.
Yeah, Delp has a lot of great, pluses. Why did he never produce is my question. I don't know. It could be Lawson Lucky came in and outproduced him last year. And obviously Bowers was there before, so you're kind of in no man's land, but tell me why. Yeah, tell me why he wasn't better. Paperwave said it. The film is super disappointing for what he is as an athlete. Give me the guy who produced at 9 different schools, a quarterback turned tight end, which I freaking love. I love that so much. Give me that
the type of stuff. Yeah, I agree with you. And the other part of it is that if Delp's there in the 5th or 6th round, nothing says you can't take another tight end if you want,
Right.
So
sure, I'm all about that.
I don't mind doing that. So, all right, Stowers is the pick here at 63, and I love the fact that he fell to us because, again, he's a guy that I was considering at 45. So the fact that he's here at 63, I think is a great win for us.
Not going to happen in real life, but take advantage of it here.
It is not, but I mean, what the heck,
Also,
So
Paper Waves he's reading my brain. I had a mock draft come out literally this morning. Kyle Lewis is my favorite player in the draft. He is there for you at a spot where I don't think he's going to be available in real
probably
life.
not.
I just don't think he's going to be there. But if he's there for you, your defense is fucking nuts. Who is getting open on a defense that has Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez on the corners? In the slot, you have Marcus Jones and Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis is he's a safety, right? Like he's a linebacker.
Yeah,
but he's a safety. The reason he's considered a linebacker and he played in the box was because of that. He played in the box and he provides a little bit more than just the coverage. Like great coverage player, but he can also get after the quarterback a little bit. Really good blitzer. He can play out of multiple alignments. We did, yeah. I love when people kind of see the vision that I see because it's hard sometimes. People are like, okay, yeah, he had some good numbers. He played at Pitt. Not really a great run defender, but plug him into this defense. I don't think anybody is throwing the ball on you. I didn't even mention their two safeties. They had like the best rookie safety in the last 5 years. And then now they have the NFL's interception leader over the last decade.
Yeah.
Give me Kyle Lewis and then just make people try to run the ball against you.
Yeah, that's helpful. And Kyle Lewis is 6'1", 220, right? And so everyone looks at it and says, oh, God, 6'1", 220, he's so small for a linebacker. And it's like, yeah, well, he's not a linebacker. So when you look at him as a safety, it's like,
the league is anymore.
Right.
Like true in the box linebackers, if you have more than one on the field, you're probably not doing it right. Like you need one. You need a guy in there who's going to fill the gap. But with the way they play defense, you have 4 down linemen in your linebacker. You're fine. And now you have athletes around him.
100%. Look at the alignment, right? You look at the alignment last year, 105 snaps on the line. So, as an edge rusher, 244 snaps in the slot, and then 319 in the box. Mm-hmm. So he's playing in the slot as much as he is, obviously not quite as much, but like basically as much as he is in the box. And so, yeah, he's playing linebacker, but he's really more of a safety. And again, I feel exactly the same way about Kyle Lewis. I love him. I think it's a great fit for what the Patriots want to do. Are there good players on the board? Sure. But, Ted Hurst is an interesting guy. And, and there's Jalen Kilgore is an interesting guy too. But this is a guy that fits an exact need that you have right now. Yeah. And he just slots right in. And I love it. By the way, Traden Stukes, the guy that went 2 picks earlier to Indy at 78. And he's a guy that I like a lot out of Arizona as well. Just another just these freak athlete type of players that, can kind of come out and play well. Is he a corner? Is he a safety? No one really knows. But anyways, I just thought I'd mention him because I do like him as well. So Kyle Lewis here is the pick at number 80.
The last thing on Lewis before we move on to the next pick, you got 2 good years out of Kyle Duggar, and I think you've been chasing it ever since. Mm-hmm. Like the injuries caught up to him. He wasn't the same player. Marte Mapu has never shown anything really at the NFL level. He had a couple good games. He picked off Patrick Mahomes, but that's a guy who I think actually fits into that role. And if you have a chance to bring that, they've been chasing it. And I know it was a 2 different versions of this team ago, but you go get the guy. That's your guy. That's what you want. Go get him.
Theoretically, Kyle Lewis does what Marte Mapu should do. The problem is that Marte Mapu doesn't do it. So, it's just not, and so there's no reason to assume that he'll do it this year. So if you get a guy that you think can actually do it, then there you go, and so I like the idea of the Kyle Lewis pick. And a few picks kind of went here. This Keelan Rutledge pick, that's a pick that I really think at 95, if he can, I don't know if he's going to last all the way to there, but I love the idea of taking a guy like that. He could step into a starting role right away. Obviously, the Patriots have 2 guards, clearly, right? Mike Onwenu is on an expiring deal. Well, not an expiring. Yeah, it's on an expiring deal because his contract runs out after this year. And Elijah Vera Tucker has never been healthy. No. So, I don't mind, doubling down on guard and just saying, yeah, we're going to draft a guard that we like. It might be the third round. I don't care because I want to draft a guy that matters and that we can, that I can actually play and not just a developmental guy. So, so I like the idea of doing something like that. Of course, he's gone, so it is what it is. But here's Bryce Lance again, who we talked about already.
Real quick, go run to our picks, the ones that we have made thus far.
Yes, your picks. So we have Akis, we have Stowers, we have Kyle Lewis.
Edge, in my opinion, your biggest need. I think wide receiver is something we talked about. Okay, you're going to go get A.J. Brown. We're operating under the idea that just wait a month. He's going to be a Patriot.
Yep.
Tight end and linebacker, I think, are your biggest developmental needs, guys you need to bring in and to eventually kind of step into the place of veterans that you already have. The one thing they haven't done, where are the offensive linemen? So I think you gotta, at this point, you have to find a guy who can start. Not necessarily because you're going to start him, but like you mentioned, AVT's never been healthy. Morgan Moses is the oldest player on the roster. You've addressed all the other needs. I operated in my mock draft earlier today under I put a couple of rules in place. Like, you have to do it this way. You have to address the 5 needs, in my opinion, your 5 biggest needs, which are edge, linebacker, tight end, wide receiver, offensive line. Let's say we addressed all the other ones outside of offensive line. I think this is the spot to do it because I know Jake Slaughter's there.
Yep.
And that is a guy who it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be this great, he's a superstar, but he can play all 3 positions on the interior, and he started at tackle before. And then if you look at the tackles, I assume Markel Bell is there, and I know it's early for him, but it's him. Parker is a guy who has started a ton of games.
Yep.
World is a guy who started a ton of games and now did it at a bigger level last year, and he played pretty well, not great, but those are 3 names where I would be comfortable with all of them. It's just a matter of what you're really looking for.
Right. I agree with you, and I think that makes a ton of sense when you're talking about, who are they going to bring in? And you look at the alignment here. I mean, the last 3 years, Slaughter's played exclusively center. But you're right. He does have some experience at playing those other positions. He's an older guy. He's just, he's 23 now. He'll be 24 at the end of next season. But I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. That he's a little bit older. He's an offensive lineman. It's really not that big of a deal, I don't think. I'm okay with whatever you would like to do here. If you want to take Slaughter and Slaughter's the pick that you think, kind of fits the best, I'm okay with that. These guards, they're fine. But again, it's position flexibility. Pat Coogan's a guy that doesn't have position flexibility. He's just a center. And, I don't know. I'm honestly not even sure about these 2, Farmer and Schrouth.
Yeah.
And Bo Stevens is fine, but again, there's a reason why he's ranked at 134. There's a big drop off between these 3 and him. So
yeah, I know Schrouth he was another guy who was kind of maybe looked over a little bit because he played with so many great, he played with Keagan before Keagan transferred.
Right.
And I just don't think he played to the same level. He was kind of the weak link on the interior at Notre Dame. I don't know anything about Jalen Farmer. I wish I did. I wish I could tell you all you needed to know about him, but I don't know. Brailsford is a guy who kind of the Oscar Delp thing, high-ranked prospect, came in, was supposed to be the leader of that offensive line. That was one of the worst offensive lines in college football.
Yeah.
And they had guys who, Brailsford was supposed to be a second-round pick. Caden Proctor was supposed to be a first-round pick. Those guys just never played to the level they were supposed to. So I don't trust that.
Yeah, I agree with
you. Give me somebody who played to a really high level. To me, that's Slaughter.
Yeah.
Especially because I think, like you mentioned, tackle, good developmental prospects, none that are going to start right away. So wait, you can draft one at 131, 171, 191, one of those spots, and feel a little bit more comfortable than a top 100 pick on a guy who might never play.
I agree. And I will say, Markel Bell is a guy that I really, really like. I just love the athleticism at his size. And I think if the Patriots are comfortable with him, I don't mind them taking him at 95. Because if he pans out, you've hit an absolute home run, right? A grand slam home run at that pick. I'm not going to take him here because we don't know anything, right? So I think I'd rather go with the, with the more proven guy and a guy like Slaughter who can kind of fill those different roles inside. Yeah. But again, if the Patriots want to take a shot at a guy like Markel Bell, or even if it's, even if it's another tackle, who was the other guy that I looked at? Parker, right? Is that 6'8"? Yep. Is that 6'8", 3'0"? No, it's not Parker. That's 6'8". Was it Barber? World. Isaiah World was 6'8", 315. Like another big guy that has like decent athleticism and moves pretty well. Doesn't have the numbers to back it up, but like whatever. If that's if they're comfortable doing that, I'm okay with that. I think Slaughter's here.
He had a rough year at Oregon. That's because he was the only person you would send pressure at.
Right.
You've got like potential first-round pick on the other side. Pregnon's on the interior. I think he's worthy of a first-round pick. I don't know if he'll actually be taken in the first round, but like he was just the weak link on a really good offensive line. I like Slaughter here. I think we can game the system too because I think Markel Bell goes pretty early. Like I don't know if he'll be a top 100 pick, but I think somebody's going to fall in love with him. But here he won't. So let's take Slaughter, and then we can go get him later and feel good about ourselves.
I love it. All right, Slaughter's the pick here at 95. And by the way, Pregnon is a guy that, like, I know it sounds crazy. I've gotten myself to a point where, like, I like him so much that I would be okay with the Patriots taking him at 31. It's just like he's just such a monster that I'm just like, this guy is awesome. I'd love to have him on my team. I don't care if it takes drafting him at 31. And again, I feel like that's in overdraft, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, why are you drafting a guard, a guard only in the first round? I don't get it, but it's like, I don't care. He's just so good that like you could just plug him in and he's going to be awesome. So
anyways, the only thing about that is you have 3 starting guards now. Figure it out. Like,
well, that's
none of those guys can play center. Is the issue.
Correct. Yes, correct. And again, you are very much on the train of Will Campbell is a guard and not a tackle. I am not, and so I feel a little bit different. Sure. But that's okay. One of my favorite draft picks gets taken by 119 by the Carolina Panthers. Caleb Proctor from Southeast Louisiana. That guy's awesome.
I was dead wrong, by the way. Markel Bell gets taken before.
Yeah, 121. Right before us. Almost made it.
It's on me. My bad, guys.
But that's all right. We needed an offensive lineman. We think that we're drafting a guy who has a higher floor, and so I'm okay with that. So let's see. Nicholas Singleton goes, who's a very much like a discount Travion Henderson. I feel like at least. So
yeah, that they had a weird thing going where they tried to not replicate because they had it in position before Ohio State ever did the 2 running back thing, but those guys never played to the same level. Like they're not the same level of player. I don't know about you. Here, it's best player available. Time.
I agree.
Like now we're talking talent, and there's a lot of it. Just looking here, like I like Endries, I like Stribling, who visited with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked. I don't know if I like Michael Taff or not. I haven't decided. I think I do. I don't think I'd touch him with a 10-foot pole because the idea of having like a slow white safety. The Eagles, despite winning a Super Bowl with one, got hell for it for years. So maybe I don't want any part of that. Harold Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about a guy I fell in love with 4 years ago, and I can't stop thinking about. That's Harold Perkins. Like, give me that guy. I'll figure it out. I'll fix him.
Yeah. You can change him. You'll be the one, right?
He'll change for me.
Exactly. I think you're right on about that. Harold Perkins is so interesting. I mean, he ran a 4.38 today at LSU's pro day, just absolutely blazing down the field. But again, the numbers
you
don't
just drafted
back
Kyle
up.
Lewis too.
Right. And that's really the issue is that, if we hadn't drafted Kyle Lewis, then I'd probably take a shot at him, but it just doesn't make sense to take him in this spot.
We did a segment a few days ago on NESN of like 2 players at the same position, and I kind of tried to present to my co-hosts like, here's what makes them different. They play the same position, but here's what makes them different. Which one would you rather have? And I pitted Lewis against Perkins. Mm-hmm. And it is like across the board, They're both super undersized, but they both play at the second level. They're more stars than linebackers, but Perkins is the guy that's going to get after the quarterback, and Lewis is the coverage guy. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
And they might both develop into the same player where they pick up the other side as well, and they're like 3-level players, and they're awesome. But it's a matter of what you're looking for now, and I'm a Lewis guy personally at this point.
I agree with you on that. So my personal opinion here, and I will say, who was it in the chat that said it? Paper Waves said Bowery is an interesting spot from BC. Again, like I say, performed well today at BC's Pro Day. I like the idea of taking Stribling. He's just a guy that, the Patriots are interested in, are meeting with him. He's a good player. He's decently big. He's fast. I like adding a guy like that onto the roster.
He's interesting because I don't remember anybody ever getting excited about him. He produced at 3 different schools, produced at a high level at 3 different schools. And that kind of gets thrown in Michael Trigg, the tight end's face. Like, why did he never stay anywhere? How come he never latched on? It doesn't with Stribling, because with Stribling, he produced, and 2, rave reviews from his coaches coming out of Ole Miss. Weird coaching staff. They went through all their own shit, but I've never heard a bad thing about the guy. And obviously he visited, so that's, put that in your back pocket as well.
100%. And I think that this makes a ton of sense. And again, this is one of those situations where are the Patriots going to move, and we don't know, are the Patriots going to move Kayshon Boutte in that A.J. Brown trade? And if they do, does that open up more snaps for another wide receiver? And not that Stribling's the same guy that Boutte is, but does it open up more snaps somewhere else? And so I like the idea of taking Stribling here, especially with their connection to him.
Yeah, I do too.
So, all right, 125, Deshaun Stribling. So just to kind of reset the deck here, now we're at 131. Just to reset the deck so everyone has it. At 45, we traded back to 45. At 45, we took Gabe Akis. At 63, we took Eli Stowers. At 80, we took Kyle Lewis. At 95, we took Jake Slaughter. And then at 125, we took Deshaun Stribling. So now we have moved to 131. Perkins still on the board if you want him. But this is also one of those interesting things where now it's like, if you like Jude Bowery and you want to go tackle, you could do that.
Yeah.
I like Charles Demings from Stephen F. Austin, just like a freak athlete from a smaller school. Endries is another guy. If you want to double dip at tight end, you could go Endries. You could go Tanner Koziel if you want. You could go Oscar Delp if you wanted to do that. So those guys are there. Will Kaczmarek, I think, is the best blocking tight end in the draft this year, I think. It's kind of hit or miss, I think. But I think that he's the best blocking tight end, in my opinion.
He's an interesting guy because from an Ohio State enjoyer, yes, great blocking tight end. He is such a good athlete. And I would assume the reason he was never able to show it is because they had a million of those. Like the best wide receiver core in football. They had 2 great running backs, not last year, but the year before.
Yeah.
Even last year, they're developing all these young players, so he never really had an opportunity to kind of show out. I think there's more to him. I also struggle with, if you're going to double dip at tight end, fuck the low or the high floor. Give me the high ceiling. I want a guy who's – so that's where, I don't know if they're still on the board, but Buddy from Notre Dame is super interesting to me. Great athlete. Sam Roush out of Stanford, I assume he's gone off the board. Yeah, Eli Raridan.
Yeah.
Great athlete. Dallin Bentley, great athlete. Nowakowski might be the best blocking tight end in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's a high floor, kind of low ceiling guy.
Right.
Hibner, great athlete. So those are the guys that I would target. I think here, what's the tackle situation look like?
So the tackle situation, there's a million tackles, and they're all kind of bunched up together at this top.
Yeah.
So there's World, Zune, J.C. Davis, Jude Bowery, Drew Shelton, Cage Casey, who I think is more of a guard than a tackle, but nevertheless, Diego Pounds, who we talked about earlier, Emil Wagner, who I kind of like out of Notre Dame. There's a bunch of guys here, all in this kind of 120 to 170 range.
Here, because you don't pick again until 171, you got to go tackle.
You want to get one
risk
of these guys. Yeah,
So
I agree.
I don't know who your favorite is. I know everybody hates World in the chat, so we won't do that to them. Maybe Bowery, just because it's a local guy. It's a guy people will know. JC Davis is interesting to me. I don't know what the hell's wrong with him and why he falls down all the time, but he does. But when he's not falling down, really good player. Like I like him. He just can't keep his feet underneath him. So that's kind of an issue when you play offensive line.
Yeah, that's not ideal. You want guys that can, it's better when you're blocking, that's.
Like, you know what I can equate it to? Remember Adam Dunn played for the Reds?
El Grande Mulo?
Yeah, so like a guy, like he'll hit a lot of home runs. So
yeah,
JC Davis, he'll have a lot of good plays. He's also going to strike out 150 times a year. And if you can deal with that, great. If
that's
you
a great point.
Stay away from him. So I was always an Adam Dunn guy, so maybe that's why I like JC Davis. I think Bowery is probably just a pick here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think Bowery's the pick. You know what? I'm having a hard time. I don't see any of his actual numbers from the pro day today, but I did hear that things went well at the pro day today. So yeah, I don't know if take that with how you will, I suppose. I'm not sure exactly what he did. I never
know what that means anyway. Like offensive lineman looking good at a pro day. Okay.
Right.
They're not blocking anybody.
That's ultimately right. That's ultimately like, what are we talking about? I will say 6'5", 314, decent size and, pretty good arm length as well. So Jude Bowery, the pick
you're really looking for is 100%.
Yeah. So Jude Bowery, the pick from Boston College here at pick 131. All right, we're dropping down all the way down to 171. A lot of those Max Llewellyn goes, Cac Marek, and Delp actually go back-to-back, both to the Panthers. What the hell are they doing?
40 tight ends the last.
Actually, look at tight end. Cozio went the pick before to the Lions. 3 tight ends.
I know somebody mentioned him in the comment section. Big fan of him. He is a freak. I think he's like 6'7". If he could put weight on, he'd look like Gronk. He wouldn't play like him, obviously, but really good red zone guy at such a big size. He brings you something different than what you already have. And at this point, I know Stowers is also a big dude, but at this point, that's what you need. You need somebody who's going to give you something different.
I agree. Paperways mentions the Clemson running back. Of course, he's talking about Adam Randall. Converted wide receiver. And this is my favorite story of the draft. Like when this happened with Tyrone Tracy, where Purdue was just basically like, hey, Tyrone, like, I know you're a wide receiver, but we need you to play running back. And he was like, bet, I got you. And he just played running back and he was good at it. And Adam Randall kind of did the same thing, obviously not quite the same. But didn't have really any carries last year, and then all of a sudden was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a running back now." And they're like, "All right, cool." And he was just good.
Also, like a running back. Like a top 5 running back in the ACC.
Yeah,
having never done it before.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Pretty good.
Look at that height and weight real quick.
Yeah, 6'2", 235.
That is, it's not Derrick Henry. It's a lot closer to Derrick Henry than you might think. That is a big fucking dude right there.
Yeah,
he wasn't a bad wide receiver either. Definitely not like the short area quickness that you would want out of a slot receiver, but he could go line up outside and catch passes still. I think he is, like, you talk about a juiced up version of somebody, juiced up Antonio Gibson, another converted wide receiver to a running back. I think he's going to be a really good player if he gets put in the right system. I
agree. So we could take him here. We could take a risk that he drops to the next round. If we wanted to do that, we could, I'm not even sure. Someone's number 1 QB on the board, Cole Payton, is available here at 171. Saw that today online. I'm like, why are we doing that? What are we doing here?
Because you'll mention it on your show and they get extra eyes on it.
That's a great point. I don't know who the person was, so
that's true. That. Yeah. So fuck that guy. He doesn't get the credit.
But Raridan's also here as well. If we wanted to double dip a tight end and we wanted to go with another athlete here, we could do that. I don't hate that. I think that running back is probably a bigger need, and I'd probably rather take Randall over Raritan.
Sure.
But I do like the idea of taking Raritan.
Take Randall because I think you need it, right? And it's a guy who, at his worst, if he never develops into a good running back, all right, you have a good special teams guy who might be able to return kicks. Like you got something there.
Yeah, agreed. Also, one of the guys on there was what the heck's his name? Desmond Reed. I don't know if you've looked into Desmond Reed at all, but I love Desmond Reed so much because his athleticism is awesome and he's like super shifty and everything else. And I just like what he brings. He's also 5'8", 175. He's just like miniature. And actually, I think he actually might be shorter than 5'8", but he's 5'8", 175, listed at least. And it looks like, wait a second, where are we here? What am I doing? Oh, no, Raritan goes to Dallas at 177. Oh, no.
It's your boy.
Dang it. Landon Robinson goes 181 to the Detroit Lions. Screw you, Detroit. Really wanted that to happen because I love that guy so much, dude. There's so many defensive linemen I love.
Yeah. Speaking of guys we love, Nadami Tucker got taken. Not the most impressive looking guy. Like you just looking at him, you're like, that edge rusher? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about him. I've fallen in love with him. He produces for sure. It was in the MAC, so take that.
Yeah, but still, but you know.
Yeah, he produced fun player to watch. Kind of a nut job. I love it.
No, that's what you need though. That's what you need.
Yeah. You just like Corey Durden. I think I tweeted 8 times this year. That guy's insane. He's a lunatic, and I love him. I think it's awesome.
It's fantastic. He's just like
legitimate crazy person.
He hasn't stopped tweeting since the offseason started, and it's fantastic. I love every second of it. It's fantastic. Yeah. 2 guys here. If we want to go defensive line, 2 guys here. I like Nick Barrett and Albert Regis. Nick Barrett's a guy that like I feel like had more hype than he actually lived up to. But he is a force in the middle. He's not a great pass rusher, but he is a really good run defender. And he does a really nice job of stopping the run. 6'3", 322. He's a big boy.
I wonder how much of that is like not being asked to really rush the pass. Like they have a guy who's going to be in the conversation to be the number 1 pick next year on the edge. I blank on names when they were a year out because I just can't remember them. But
couldn't even tell you. I have no idea. I went to a South Carolina game this year and I still couldn't tell you.
True sophomore, one of the best players in the country. They had the edge rushers the last 2 years. Like Kyle Kennard is a guy who got drafted last year who was a great edge rusher. So those guys that played the middle, like I remember Tonka Hemingway, they're not really asked to do much.
Yeah.
So I don't put the blame on them.
So I kind of like Barrett here. I just think you need more help on the defensive interior, especially with the Christian Barmore situation. I know that the case got dismissed and everything, but like it still worries me to an extent. This is just like it just seems like there's always something. That's a great way to put it. It just seems like there's always something going on with him, and it's just like a matter of time until you get the next thing. And so I'm sick of it. So
take that guy because there are 2 names here that I'm going to really push for. 3 names that I'm going to really push for. So I want you to take Barrett.
All right, Nick Barrett it is. By the way, Albert Regis is a guy who I like as well, defensive interior from A&M. He's a guy who's just like he's a really good team guy. He won like a community award. He's like whatever, like academic and all this stuff. And so I like him, but I'd like Barrett better as a player.
The opposite of what you currently have on the defensive interior.
That's exactly correct. Yes. So Nick Barrett is the pick here at 191. Caden Wetchen goes to. Dang it.
That's why I had to take him. Because guess what? The last 2 players that were taken, I know they didn't need a running back, but both of these guys are essentially running backs. Yeah. Eli Heidenreich out of Navy, Caden Wetchen out of Iowa. Return guys, gadget players,
brutal
sickos that like guys like us are like, fuck yeah, put him on the offense, figure something out with him. Those are the 2 guys, and they both got picked.
Unbelievable.
The third guy that kind of came to mind, I can't go a draft without mentioning one of my Ohio State guys. Lorenzo Styles.
Yeah.
Fastest guy in the draft.
Yep.
1. 2, you talk about all like the community, the stand-up, great guy, captain, all of it. He's all of that and then some. And he got incrementally better throughout his career at Ohio State. They transitioned him to safety. a couple years ago. He was kind of like a nickel, was doing a little bit of everything. And they just said, hey, man, go be the safety next to Caleb Downs. We're going to move Caleb Downs everywhere. You're going to be our deep third guy. And he was fantastic. Had a really rough playoff game against Miami. That's the last impression that a lot of people have of him. He is getting better. And I think at this point in the draft, developmental prospect at safety, you can play in the deep third. And at the very least, he's going to be an insane special teamer because he's got crazy speed. Like those are the guys that you take at this point in the draft.
I like it. I really like that. I would have loved Wetchen in this spot. I think that's just a fun player for them. Again, he's listed as a wide receiver, but like I don't think he'll ever play wide receiver for the Patriots. But like I don't think he'll play wide receiver anywhere.
He didn't
right?
Iowa.
But like it's awesome. Like that's the type of guy. Styles I like because again you're getting a guy with crazy speed and crazy athleticism. But I love that community stuff. That stuff matters. Like and here it matters. Like Vrabel puts an emphasis on that. Vrabel's the type of guy that does those things, and that's not for show. Like Vrabel doesn't do that stuff for show. The story my dad tells all the time is like my cousin was working at Starland back in the day when he was a player, and my cousin was in high school, and he just like came to the Starland one day with his family, and he was like, he just said like introduced himself and said, hey, like whatever this and that, and like Vrabel just like started chatting him up for like 5 minutes. Called his family over, like introduced them to my cousin, and then took a picture with him. Like that's not like he doesn't have to do that. That's not in the social media age. Like that's just who he genuinely is. And like he likes guys like that are like-minded. And so to hear Styles is like that too, like that makes a ton of sense. And the fact that he's a developmental guy and can play special teams as well, I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, they get me every week, but College Game Day, they do the specials on whoever did some great thing that week. And him and his brother Sonny, who was like the 4th pick in this draft, and will be a very high pick, they sleep outside. They like to raise awareness for homelessness in Columbus. They slept outside for like 3 days during training camp for Ohio State.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Cool stuff. That stuff's awesome.
That's the stuff that you want to see, So, all right. So there we are. So we have Lorenzo Styles. So we have 3 picks left. We have drafted Akis, Eli Stowers, Kyle Lewis, Jake Slaughter, Deshaun Stribling, Jude Bowery, Adam Randall, Nick Barrett, and Lorenzo Styles Jr. We got 3 picks left, 2 in the 6th round, 1 in the 7th round. And we can go pretty much anywhere at this point, right? We can go back to the tight end. If we want to go back to tight end, we have now Nowakowski here. I don't really love any of these guys, so I'd probably stay away from that. We could go to edge defender. We could go to defensive interior. We could go to
check out the edge. I wonder because I know this is a super deep class. I think it's deep in the middle, not necessarily toward the end. Like
I agree.
Probably tapers off a pretty decent amount, but. Like Wesley Williams is a guy who produced to a decent extent. Logan Fano, him and his brother, I keep screwing up their last name, but he is an effort player, and that does matter when you're taking somebody late in the like. He's not the best pass rusher in the draft, but he will give you great effort and maybe make something happen. Hutchins has been like a late riser. For whatever reason. I don't remember him at all throughout the season. Like usually you catch a guy's name and you're like, oh, okay, I'll keep an eye on him. Never heard his name before like a week and a half ago. So, and then there's guys like Patrick Payton is essentially JV version of Braden Swinson. Like, how come you weren't better than you were supposed to be, kind of deal. So I don't love any of these options. I got to be honest.
A guy I like late is this kid, James Newby out of New Mexico. His grades are just awesome. He had 55 hurries last year, 9 QB hits and 10 sacks. He's playing for New Mexico, right? So he's not playing against like great players, but like even still, he's putting up numbers against like actual teams. He's not playing, Division II. He's playing against actual teams. And so
how big is he? What's his size?
He is 6'2", 244. So he's not huge. That's the other part of it, right? He did transfer in. I forget where he transferred in from somewhere. He's from my I had him in my mock draft 1.0, but like a 93 pass rush grade and a 93.3 true pass set rush grade and a 24.1 pass rush win rate, which is just stupid.
That's just Elijah Ponder, which I don't hate. Like taking another one of those guys who Ponder looks like he could develop into a decent player for them. So if you want to take another one, you see if you can develop another guy.
And that's kind of my point, right? Is that you just kind of take a flyer on a guy, and this is a guy where he's at 304. We could just take him in the 7th round and not take him here. If we want to take a developmental edge, just wait. If that's the guy that we like, or we could just take him now too. It doesn't really make a difference, but
I don't think it makes a difference. But
Nolan Rucci is a guy that I like.
Wrong, by the way, Keagan Trost spells it wrong.
Oh, he spells Keagan wrong. Yeah, no kidding. What's that about, dude? So
I will say here, the last 3 picks don't matter. They're not going to make this many. They'll end up just shooing them down the road.
Yeah.
Quarterback, you need somebody to be the sacrificial lamb during the preseason.
True.
Like, you need a
Diego
third.
Paiva?
I think
Tony Castellanos?
Fagnano from UConn is the fit to me. Altmaier, longtime starter at Illinois. If you want to bring in Illinois' 2 most recent starters, you get DeVito already. Give Altmaier a try.
Right.
I would take either one of those guys here, and then the last 2 picks are. Let the chat do them.
All right. Fagnano or Altmaier? What do you think?
Let's do Altmaier because I took Fagnano in mine earlier. So
Altmaier it is. Keyshawn Elliott. All right, I'm gonna take my edge defender here.
Yeah,
Keyshawn. And then
I want the because Paper Waves, and I know this is your show, but I'm taking over for a second. Paper Waves has been such a loyal commenter. I want him to make the last pick.
All right, Paper Waves, you're up. You're on the clock. Let's see here. We have Jalen Daniels. We have Caleb Douglas, Andre Fuller from Toledo.
I like Heineke.
Yep, Caden Barrett, Owen Heineke from Oklahoma, Carver Willis. Who could ever forget? James Brockermeyer. Not even Brockmeyer, Brockermeyer. Jalen Stroman, Wesley Williams, DJ Singleton.
Big Waves wants a receiver.
Receiver.
Got taken.
Let's go to the receivers. Caleb Douglas, Malik Benson, Chase Roberts, Lewis Bond, J. Michael Sturdivant, got it. Romello Brinson, Xavion Thomas, Harrison Wallace, Colby Young, Vinny Anthony, Hank Beatty, I don't know, Chris Hilton, Donovan McCulley. I feel like we're going in.
Chris Hilton. I've got a fun fact about Chris Hilton. Paper Waves did make his pick, so we will get there.
Okay.
Chris Hilton was a 5-star coming in to LSU. He spent all 5 years at LSU. Injuries were an issue, kind of up and down. He was ranked ahead of the following: Malik Neighbors.
Oh, Jesus.
Marvin Harrison Jr. And there's a third one. Oh, Puka Nakua. No, was it Puka Nakua? Jackson Smith and Jigba, maybe. It's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He was ranked ahead of all of them coming into college and was supposed to be like the guy at LSU. It never quite worked out. I am fully on the train of fucking take that guy and BTJ. That's who it was. Brian Thomas Jr. He was ranked ahead of him.
Got it.
So in a class that all went into LSU together of Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Chris Hilton Jr., he was supposed to be the guy.
It's unbelievable.
Give me that, see if you can turn him into something. That wasn't the pick. Paper Waves took Chase Roberts, but I think that is such an interesting guy.
Chase Roberts from BYU, 6'4", 210. I like the yards per route run, 2.35. Good receiving grade, 54 receptions, 802 yards. Last year, 52 receptions, 854 yards. The year before, 41 and 561. Like solid production from Chase Roberts all the way around.
Remained productive for multiple years too, which is always a plus.
So I like a Chase Roberts on the clock. But you know what's interesting, and I look at it kind of similarly. You talk about Hilton. I look at kind of the same kind of way I look at it with Kayshon Boutte, where like Kayshon Boutte was this great player, right? And it's like, well, yeah, like it didn't work out at LSU, but he was awesome when he came in. And so if that's the case, why not just draft that guy and just see what you get, And so I really like that. So
yeah, we later came to find out with Booty, like a lot of it was kind of personal demon stuff, but it all stemmed from injuries. Like that story he wrote for Players, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yes. Great story,
Players
but
Tribune.
it kind of Players Tribune. Thank you. It kind of like, hey, I never dealt with any adversity in my entire life, and then something hit, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I don't know if that's the same thing for Hilton. Hilton, I think it was just consistently like shit, back to back to back injuries. But he's good at football. He is. It's just a matter of if he can stay on the field and if he's developed enough to be the guy everybody thought he would be at the NFL level.
100%. And if you're getting that guy in the 7th round, sure, who cares? You know what I mean? So
they drafted Trey Nixon one time. They wasted a draft pick on that.
Listen to me now. Don't do that. Okay, I still believe in Trey Nixon.
Isn't he like a high school track coach now?
Probably, yeah. He was Ernie Adams' last pick. I thought there was no chance he could fail, and he failed spectacularly.
Ernie was checked out at that point. He opened the book, and the first guy who popped up, he was like, "Yeah, that guy."
Yeah, I guess. I just I thought for sure, man. I got like the 1 of the 25 like autograph rookie card and everything. I thought for sure it was gonna happen. It just never did. So but what are you gonna do? All right, here's the draft. We traded back from 31 to 45, picked up 80 and a 5th round pick next year. So we got an extra 5th round pick next year. We got Gabe Akis at the end from Illinois with our 2nd round pick, our first of our 2nd round picks. Eli Stowers, the tight end from Vanderbilt, linebacker from Pitt, Kyle Lewis at 80, and then center Jake Slaughter from Florida at 95. 4 picks in the top 100 here, and I like all of them. I think that you really can kind of Slaughter may not start right away, but you're talking about 4 guys that can really have an impact on your team, all getting taken in the top 100. I like that quite a bit. Then we took Deshaun Stribling at 125, Jude Bowery at 131, Adam Wandle 171, Nick Barrett 191, Lorenzo Styles Jr. at 198, Luke Altmaier, the quarterback from Illinois, at 202, Keyshawn James Newby from New Mexico at 212, and Chase Roberts finishes out the draft at 247. No grades on this because we use the consensus board and they don't allow grades on the consensus board, but that was the draft. Thank you for those of you that tuned in. We appreciate that. Thank you to Paper Waves for being our guy, man, being our guy through here.
Our unofficial Ernie Adams, he got to make
Yes, I agree. Also, Nikhil mentions Trey Nixon, OTA legend. I would agree. Definitely OTA legend.
The first guy to wear 87 after Rob Gronkowski, or maybe second guy.
I think second guy. He did get it. He sure did. Nikhil is also asking about the Josh Dobbs situation. I don't think it really bears mentioning at all, does it? Like, it just, I never thought he was going to play. Never wanted him to play.
The second they signed Tommy DeVito, you knew.
Yeah. So that was one of those, like, yeah, fine, whatever. He's a good player, but like, he was a good veteran guy to have in the building, but ultimately it didn't really matter. So, frankly, if your backup quarterback, if you're putting any thought into your backup quarterback at all, outside of we just need this guy to like not be an idiot, you're overthinking it. Just pick a guy that can like right the ship for a half, and that's it. So.
Yeah, you if you have a superstar quarterback, you actually want a bad backup. So if your superstar gets hurt, you get a good draft pick. That's
exactly. Great point. It's a great point. So all right, that does it, man. That does it. This was a lot of fun, Keagan. I appreciate you coming on. This was good. This was good.
Yeah.
And the chat was like, wow, this Keagan guy is like super knowledgeable. I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. This guy's, he knows what he's doing.
That's all I do. I sit on my couch and it's right there. I sit on that couch and I watch dudes run around, It's pretty decent life.
It's great. And honestly, it's just I gotta tell you, as a I'm proud of you. As a dad, as an older dad figure here. I'm proud of the work you've done. You're crushing it. And And it's great to see because you've earned it. It's not like no one's giving you anything. You've earned it, and you're
telling me.
you're here working your butt off, and we appreciate it. So it's great to see you thriving out there at NESN, and tune into NESN and see Keagan on the TV with Joe Murray and a bunch of other people on there too. So
cast of characters. I appreciate it, pal. I wouldn't be here without you. Like I said at the top of the show, if anybody missed it. Never would have gotten on a camera unless you kind of forced my hand. You were like, "Hey, man, we want you to do this." I was like, "I guess if I have to."
It's great.
So
That's awesome.
I appreciate it, man.
I love it. So, well, thank you for being here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. Keagan, anything you want to plug before you go?
Right there, you can follow me. I've got this whole draft plan. It's kind of in my it's my pinned tweet on Twitter. You go in there, you see everything I plan on doing up until the draft. I'll be on NESN sporadically. They kind of I'm the sixth man. They let me know when they need me. So 4 to 6 on weekdays. You'll probably catch me before or after a Red Sox game at some point on NESN. I will plug this, actually. If you call 617-582-CHAT, you can leave a voicemail. You can be featured live on TV. We'll answer your voicemail about anything you want. I usually think that stuff is pretty silly, but it's actually very cool. We get to literally anything you want to talk about, you can leave it and we'll answer it on TV. So if you want to hear your voice heard, if you want to clip it off and show your friends, it's pretty cool. That's great. I love it. So call in and have your question answered by Keagan live on air. Pretty cool. Yeah. Mention how much you like me too. It helps me out. Exactly. Say, you know what? I saw you on the Patriot Nation podcast stream, and you were crushing it. So I had to call in. So let's get plugs in for everybody. It's going to be a plug-in section. It's awesome. Exactly. That's right. So, anyways, thanks so much for everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you, Keagan, for coming through. Make sure you go follow him if you're not already doing so. And we will see you guys on Thursday night.